I'm Victoria Pearson, but you can call me V. And for months and months and months now, I've been talking to you about the desk that I have been refurbishing to use as a writing desk. Because up until now, I have been using a piece of wood balanced on two bedside tables as a desk, and it really wasn't ideal. But about 20 years ago, I picked up this dressing table out of a skip. It was completely covered in really thick white gloss paint. It had had things spilled on it. It had had marker pens scribbled all over it. But I loved the shape of it and how well made it seemed to be. And it was always my plan to fix it up. I never got round to it. Until just before Christmas sort of time, I decided that I was going to make it for myself as a Christmas gift. It took far longer than it had any business taking. So when February rolled around, I thought I'll make it for my birthday, and then my birthday passed. But anyway, I have finally finished it now. It is all done. I'm so pleased with how it turned out. I did lose a lot of the footage where I was making it because my phone died. But I did have some of it in the cloud, and I've managed to cobble together enough to show you the process of making it. So here it is. Unfortunately, I did lose my before pictures, but this is sort of what it looked like just without the drawers in. As you can see, it was a right mess. And I started with this little handheld sander that I bought specifically for the purpose. It is one that attaches to the Hoover, but it does still create quite a lot of dust, although less than it would without attaching to the Hoover, I suppose. It was as well very loud, which is part of why it's taken me so long to do this, because I was doing it in short little bursts when my family could handle it. See, it's very loud. After about 2 hours, this is what it looked like. It was taking ages, and I did consider using slightly rougher sandpaper, but I didn't want to damage the veneer that was underneath the paint because it seemed to be really pretty. I knew I was going to have issues with this area here, and I did. I ended up having to do them with a chisel, and these little edge pieces I had to do by hand because the sander just couldn't get into them, and I was worried about damaging the veneer really badly there. But it was starting to come together. I could see the vision at this point, and even though it had taken me 2 hours to get to this point, I could see enough of what it was going to look like to not give up completely. But there was still quite a long way to go. As you can see, there was still marker pen all over it, nail varnish, all sorts. Eventually, I managed to strip the top off. I probably should have done that last so that I'd gotten used to using the sander first, but I didn't damage the veneer too badly on top, and I started on the sides. And it was at this point that I started to realise that there was a slight problem. One of the legs had become very rickety, and the vibrations from using the sander were actually making it worse. I could see when I was pushing into it that the gap was getting bigger and bigger, and I did try and carry on for a little while. I sanded the leg a little bit more, but in the end I decided that I was going to have to stop and order some wood glue so that I could fix that up, because as you can see, there was quite a big gap there. And so I went and got myself some Gorilla Glue wood glue. I'm pretty sure that any kind of wood glue would work the same way though. And I started off by taking all of the loose bits of wood and dust and cobwebs and things like that out of the little gap. I then cleaned it with some acetone, but I think alcohol would work just as well, or white spirit, just to make sure there was no grease or anything in there that would stop my glue from sticking. And then I just filled the gap up with as much glue as I could, shoved it back together, and then I did secure it with some packing tape whilst the glue was drying. But to help the glue to stick, I decided that I needed some other bits of wood in there. And so I ended up using and I did make a right mess. I ended up using spent matches to fill the little gap with, because they're wood as well. And so it would stick to both the matches and each side of the glue and give me something better to work with. It actually worked a lot better than I thought it was going to. And once I'd sanded over that area, you couldn't even see where the gap had been. Unfortunately, though, that is one of the bits that of footage that was lost when my phone died, and so I can't show you what it looked like right at the end. But that's how I did it, and I filled in all of the little gaps with glue, stuck some more matches in there, so it was kind of raised so that I'd have something to sand off afterwards and make it all smooth and nice again. Although the repair went quite well, I was quite glad that this was one of the back legs of the piece, because it's going to stand up against a wall, so you won't be able to see this bit anyway. I was just being a little bit of a perfectionist about it, to be honest. But had I not done that, I think the vibrations would have made the leg come off completely. So after about 6 hours of sanding, this is where we had been to. I still had a few little bits of paint in there, as you can see, but I was loving the pattern on the wood. It looks very dry, very, very thirsty. But we'll get to that bit in a minute. The next step was to put new handles on these drawer fronts because the ones that I had before were very bedroomy. I bought these thinking that they would fit in there just fine, but I ended up having to drill it because they weren't quite wide enough. And then it was time to sort out that dry wood with a ton of Danish oil. I did about 4 coats of it in the end, just let it soak in for about 20 minutes and then buffed it off. You can actually see where I've damaged the veneer on the front drawer at that stage, but it was looking a lot better, and this is the finished piece. I'm so pleased with how it came out. If you look very closely, you can see tiny little bits of white paint, and yes, I have got a tiny bit where I did damage the veneer, but I'm really pleased with how it turned out in the end. And I do think that I'm going to appreciate it more because I put so much effort into it and did it all by myself. It's a very fitting home for my new laptop, I think, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. So I hope that you enjoyed watching me put my desk together. I am really enjoying having somewhere proper to sit and do my work on my proper laptop, on my proper chair. I feel very grown up now. Join me again on Monday for my next vlog, 6 AM UK time. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be taking you to Bognor Regis because I'm going this weekend. I've never been before, so we're going to go to the seaside and see what else is there. I hope that you can join me for that. If you can't wait until then to see me again, I will be here every single morning in your shorts, taking a great big deep breath, letting you know what I'm grateful for, sometimes letting you know what challenges me, and I will be here on Wednesday for a Witchy Wednesday intuitive card reading as well. Until then, you have yourself a magical week.